because Elon Musk thinks that this is the best thing to do. President Trump has called Social Security a scam. Elon Musk, as the chairman, as Mr. Neal said, called it a Ponzi scheme. Ask that of the people in your district. Ask that, Mr. Smith, of the more than 198,000 people in your district who rely on Social Security, and you won't even let the person who's planning to privatize it, who's telling the big lie in front of everyone.
The shocking and scandalous civil war between Donald Trump and Elon Musk is still ongoing. And even more damaging to MAGA, it's not just between them, because a new breaking report from the New York Times reveals that Stephen Miller's wife, Katie Miller, was working against the wishes of the administration to serve and push the criminal lies of Elon Musk while she was working in the White House, directly opposing her husband right before leaving him for Musk. We're going to get into this shocking story, but before we do, we need a bit of context on what she was lying about. And it comes with one of the agencies Elon Musk directed most of his false claims at, and we're going to get that breakdown from Rachel Maddow before we get into the story.
That is veteran Democratic Congressman John Larson of Connecticut, just ripping the bark off today about Social Security and what Republicans are really doing here. And indeed, as he was ripping that bark off in Congress, look at what the Washington Post was publishing just down the road. Quote, Social Security facing pressure from DOGE weighs big cuts to phone service. Agency considers ending phone program that is used by millions of elderly and disabled Americans. One gobsmacked Social Security Administration employee told the Post today that this radical change, this radical cut to services that they were moving on in the Trump administration, quote, would be the single largest service disruption in agency history ever. The single largest service disruption in Social Security ever. Elon Musk's plan for Social Security was to, quote, end telephone service for claims processing, instead directing elderly and disabled people to the internet and to in-person field offices. Quote, the agency's toll-free number is a mainstay for older customers who do not have online access or who have trouble navigating the internet. About 40% of the claims that get made to Social Security are made over the phone, using this phone line that Elon Musk now wants to kill. 40% of the claims at the agency. And naturally, this move to close the phone line and instead force old people and disabled people to go in person to in-person field offices, naturally that comes as Donald Trump is firing 7,000 people who work at Social Security and closing tons of the aforementioned field offices. President Biden's Social Security Administrator, former Maryland Governor Martin O'Malley, ripped the bark off himself in his comments to the Post on this planned cut. Quote, it would certainly appear, he said, that they're trying to break the capacity of the agency to serve its customers. The Post says, quote, the DOGE-driven proposal to shift all claims processing online and to in-person offices has spurred pushback internally, employees said, and from outside experts, for the same reasons, that it would be likely to imperil millions of Americans' ability to receive their earned benefits. This is what they're doing. This is what's going on. And so this is what happens today. Congressman John Larson, who I just showed you, screams his freaking head off in Congress about it this morning. Screams at them. And then at noon, the Washington Post publishes this horror movie script about their plan, indeed, to rip the guts out of Social Security. Beyond firing everybody, which they're already doing, right? Beyond closing the field offices, they're now making it so that old and disabled people literally cannot call anyone to find out what's going on. But then you know what happened? They caved. They decided not to do it. Don't let anybody tell you that pushback doesn't work. Don't let anybody tell you that yelling and making a fuss doesn't matter.
We know DOGE had no other purpose than to allow Donald Trump and Elon Musk to SEO distrust in the government while Elon got richer. He went after the agencies seeking to hold his corrupt and sometimes criminal companies accountable. That was the whole point of DOGE. There was no waste, fraud, and abuse they were looking for. Even their own employees have admitted that. And after they did, they were fired. But it's for that reason why Elon had to constantly lie and use his propaganda machine on Twitter to push those lies, but it wasn't just his platform that was doing it. It was also Stephen Miller's wife who worked alongside Elon in this breaking bombshell reveals just how bad it was. Stephen Miller's wife angrily ordered Social Security boss to go along with Musk's BS. Stephen Miller's wife berated the head of the Social Security Administration to promote a false claim about rampant fraud on the AWise customer service line that was being pushed by Musk Katie Miller, a former White House aide who later joined Musk's team full-time, called then acting Social Security Administration Commissioner Leland Dudek, and bluntly told him to keep repeating that 40% of the calls to Social Security were from scammers and fraudsters, even though the claim had zero basis. In fact, the number is 40%. Miller told the administrator during an April 1st phone call, according to the New York Times, she insisted that he stick to that figure despite Social Security staff writing a response to correct it, because Donald Trump believed Musk do not contradict the president. She said Katie Miller's loyalty to Musk is hardly surprising, and she was reportedly with him almost all the time while both were in the White House. According to the Wall Street Journal, just before Musk had a dramatic public falling out with Trump while officially serving as a special government employee, Miller was also on Musk's payroll before exiting alongside him last month, sparking questions about where her true loyalties lay. The Times cited the false SSA scammer stat as yet another example of how much Department of Government efficiency DOGE pushed misleading claims and fabricated data to justify its cost-cutting crusade. The man who replaced that Social Security commissioner even provided some double-speak by suggesting Moose's 40% figure was both inaccurate and true. At the same time, we're going to be a fact-based, rule-based organization that can count, the commissioner told the Times, while acknowledging the 40% figure pushed by Musk was not true. However, in a follow-up statement, he said, "The work that DOGE did was 100% accurate." The staff tried to amend this figure in an April 1st memo to DOGE leaders the same day of Katie Miller's call to state that 25 to 30% of allegations of direct deposit fraud are for direct deposit changes made over the telephone, according to an analysis by NextGov FCW. Less than 1% of Social Security calls show any potential signs of fraud. So all along, Katie Miller all along was backing Elon Musk, even while, and of course, maybe because she was on his payroll, that is how entrenched she was with Elon the whole time. So it's clear that she would want to lie on his behalf to push a false narrative about DOGE, which Donald Trump had clearly been doubting for some time, whether it be because of the ridiculous behavior of Musk, how many problems he was causing Trump, or maybe the rampant drug use. But we see very clearly that Katie Miller the whole time was always backing Elon. It is so entrenched, the civil war in this White House. The sides for a long time have been very clear, and I expect more ramifications to come. But I am reminded, going back to that Social Security conversation, of a congressman who spoke out in such blunt fashion, in such a passionate way, that I just have to play it now that we're on the topic. It was John Larson slamming Republicans and Musk right here.
They're honest and caring people, and that's why I do not understand why you would relegate this committee to no longer being of significance and resort to saying you will do whatever Elon Musk and Donald Trump tell you to do. Where's the independence of the committee? Where's the legislature? We're an equal branch of government. And you start off with a blather, and yet look at the empty seats here. Where's Elon Musk? I'm sure he's a genius and is a very credible person because of the wealth he's accumulated. But that does not put him above the law or the responsibility to come before this committee in this Congress. If he's so great, if these plans and all the fraud and abuse that he's found are so evident, why isn't he here explaining it? You know why. Because he's out to privatize Social Security. He's been on television the last couple of days talking exactly about Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid, and what he intends to do. Privatize it. The American people, some of them may have been born at night, but not last night. People are aware of this. Every single one of your districts. Now you have someone coming in to privatize a system, something you have longed to do going back to 1982, because Elon Musk thinks that this is the best thing to do. President Trump has called Social Security a scam. Elon Musk, as the chairman, as Mr. Neal said, called it a Ponzi scheme. Ask that of the people in your district. Ask that, Mr. Smith, of the more than 198,000 people in your district who rely on Social Security, and you won't even let the person who's planning to privatize it, who's telling the big lie in front of everyone, bold as he possibly can, saying, this is what we're going to do. The Congress is in our back pocket. We don't even have to come before them and testify, because we control the House, we control the Senate, and we control the presidency. And it's the tyranny of the executive. It's why these resolutions were first adopted back in 1789, because the founding fathers knew that the executive branch does not have total authority over the legislature unless you have a willing party that says, no, we're going to do exactly what you tell us to do, Mr. Musk and Mr. President. It doesn't matter to our constituents. It doesn't matter how much money they are not going to receive. We're not even going to tell them the truth about what's going to happen to them. They administer to over 70 million people.
That is the energy that I love, that we should be bringing to everything all the time. That is the fight we need in this moment. We're going to be bringing it on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. We recently hit 1 million because of y'all. You can leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.